Yes, hello. Man, that's a nice
Yes.
from the producer when you're told, don't have a dead look on your face. I don't know what the hell that means, but apparently I'm alive now. So
Alive and kicking.
yes, it's larger than live. It's the almost December edition. Last day of November here as we get ready, and the big snow is on the way, apparently.
Oh, yeah, this is the Snowballs edition,
right,
man. We were supposed to be under a foot of snow already
right
by now, according to the experts yet again. So, of course, there will be a light dusting, if anything.
Right. I like now it's to a dusting, and, of course, it was 50 degrees recently, so the ground is warm enough that nothing – but I am excited because for Fidge – that's our dog. Now, Calvin's seen snow, right? But have you seen –
I don't know if he has or not.
Oh, right.
I don't know.
Right. But age, well, I guess you're right.
He's about a year. He's a year and a quarter, year and a half, but I don't know what he had seen before I got him in
Well,
May.
Fidge is only not even 5 months, so she is clearly not seen.
Well, she looks like she's made of snow.
Right. Well,
that'll be fascinating when you do get some decent accumulation if you'll be able to see her.
Well, she was out there this morning, and it was coming down a little bit, but only when it sticks will it make a difference.
So we're 75 seconds into the show.
There we go.
Talking already off topic.
Yes, dogs and snow.
Bottom line is we are here, and I've renamed it now. We are at House Gamble. We are indoors, obviously, but we are in the Can Cave. I think that makes more sense. I don't know why we didn't think of that before. But anyway, with Fred's beer can collection behind us and a couple of other little Easter eggs for you. But one of the many places that we call home when we go to work, not unlike our friends at Fueled Collective.
That's correct, and located over in Rookwood. And for anything you need, whether you want to kick back, whether you want to just have a business meeting, have kind of an AV, a presentation. But I like kind of the casual aspect of it. It's for really people who don't need an office but occasionally need an office setting to host a meeting, to maybe hook up for coffee in the morning or a beverage in the afternoon. You can do anything and everything there. You can host parties. They have special events. You can take advantage of that as well. Anything and everything, our friends at Fuel Collective. And remember, tell them Gamble and Finn sent you there so they know you're paying attention. Right. And we're talking about that.
And then one of the things that we took advantage of was you can build the package that you want for your membership to any size. It can be minimal or it can be maxed out, but there's a workout facility. There's the full bar.
We've been killing that workout
whole thing.
Facility.
Oh, yeah.
That thing.
As soon as somebody shows us where it is, it's in for a pound.
They told us to stop. They're tired of wiping it down to keep it clean, right, after we get off the bench. Time to move along.
Yeah, we'll move along. Sorry about that, Fueled Collective. Anyway, check them out. Tell them we sent you. Now, we talked about this and we asked about this, and I think maybe in 2021 we'll be unveiling just the audio podcast of what it is we're up to, because a few of you did say, yeah, we'd absolutely like to be able to download this and listen when we're in the car. It also doesn't hurt that we don't have to look at you while it's going on, so there's that as well, because I did realize a couple weeks ago when we were sitting outside, and if I was you, I would not go back to our YouTube channel and look at this.
Not this episode.
We were sitting outside, and it was still warm enough, and I had shorts on.
Yeah, not a good look.
I didn't realize the angle that the camera was at.
Keyword is angle.
Yeah, how much of the dangle. Yeah, I didn't realize how much of us you could see. I thought it was to about here, but it looked like I was sitting on a bag of onions.
But here's the problem, and you'll relate to this. We've done radio. So in radio, unless we're out on location, which we've been many times, but when you're in a studio, you could be, we're not, but you could be, because neither one of us would allow the other one. You could be nude.
Right.
You could stand on your head. Right. You could lay down. It doesn't matter. Right. But here, I can't honestly tell you where the camera, what depth it goes. Where does it cut off?
Let's just say I'm going to hold my notes here.
I'll just put my hand. I'll have the human cup during the show.
So anyway, there we go. See, we can look on the monitor.
There we go.
Over there.
We're good. It's all good. See.
So anyway, the podcast is coming, likely launched in 2021, because every year we like to have a big new feature coming your way.
Well, and considering it's already almost December, time is running out for 20. Let's just get the hell out of 2020 and get to 2021.
Something for you to look forward to besides 2020 being gone away, and something else to look forward to, because it is the season.
Oh, yeah.
Our very special holiday house guest, not this Wednesday, but a week from Wednesday, is going to be our good friend and a man who surprisingly wants something to do with us.
He does.
That would be Santa Claus.
Santa Claus, December the 9th at 7, and we'll be asking you later in today's program, too, if you've got, kids and or you want to, request things from Santa or ask some questions.
Questions are going to be key this year,
Absolutely.
I think.
So you can ask those and we'll relay them to Santa and get them answered for you.
Yep, and that'll be all a part of the big holiday house guest, which we try to do on Wednesdays as folks become available. This time of year, it's a little bit more difficult, but this guy, as busy as his schedule is, nice of him to make time for us. We must be on the nice list.
Had to get him early, though, before
Samuel
it got
L.
too
Jackson.
close to Christmas.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be busy.
If he sends off one of his big elves to sit in for him, I'm going to be peeved.
I think we're good.
And speaking of seasonality, I tell you what, it's a good thing on my way over here from Milford to get over here into the county of Boone that I was behind the snowplow or I never would have made it.
Oh, right, of course. Yeah, you mean the roads were just hazardous out there now, were they? Weather Impact Day, the first of many coming in winter.
Yeah, it turned into flakes as expected right around the time I got across the bridge. But I tell you, last night watching football, you would have thought we were going to have a run on bread and eggs and milk again with the county warnings across the top. And I guess at some point, and we've talked to Vogel enough to know that sports get smaller and smaller because weather tends to get bigger and bigger on local news because that's the thing they can use to scare people with the most, especially old people who are the ones who still watch the news. But at some point, it's got to be this boy that cried wolf syndrome where you look at it and you're just numb to it and you don't pay any attention and then you miss something that may be important.
I've got a couple friends who, when we talk on the phone, we laugh about it in advance, anticipating, and it's almost like everybody is predisposition now that you're not going to get any snow. Now, in fairness, don't forget, the National Weather Service is the one that issues those weather advisories, warnings, etc., and they just run them on the ticker. I'm with you, though. I watched late last week, I want to say Friday morning, maybe even Saturday morning, and they were actually the weather people on different stations, so it's not just one. On different stations were like, now this isn't Snowmageddon where you have to go to the store. I'm thinking, the fact that you're even saying that is part of the problem. Yeah, it really and truly is.
It is the problem. And even if they issue those warnings and whatnot and watches, do they have to run? I don't ever really recall them when I was growing up.
Running
unless
as much
it was
as
really
they do.
Big.
Yes.
That they ran all that you had to run all that. I mean, even when I get in my car now, the display in the dash of my car says winter weather advisory, and it's naming counties I don't even know where they are.
Right.
And I have to click through to get past it, and I'm shutting my radio off and blowing up my heater or something.
Well, part of the issue, too, is a lot of those counties, that'd be a fun game to play with a couple beverages.
Yeah, where's that county?
Well, get out a map and just see if you, because some of those I've never, and you have to remember the issue becomes, too, the reach of the stations. Where some of it is so far south, east, west, north that there are counties. Honest to God, my favorite is when they get into the school. We don't have to worry about school closings and delays.
That's true.
Everybody's going to school remotely. But some of those schools, what the hell are those? Yeah. Where are those? What are those? There are more schools today. I didn't realize. I don't see how some of them, they can't have more than 50 students.
And I got to be honest with you, no offense to Bracken County, but if somebody just mentions snow globes, you're closed, even in the middle of June.
No. We used to joke because I grew up in Cincinnati, and now that I've lived over here in Kentucky for 30 years, we used to joke that whenever it rained, and I mean, but now it didn't take me long living here to figure that out. Because driving out, Boone County is massive. I believe it's the third largest county in the state. And you have no idea where some of these schools, until you actually, some of our sons played basketball and they had them at elementary schools, and you're like, oh my, like there was a Kelly Elementary. I mean, it is way the hell out 18. You have no idea and some of those roads that we made fun of, that's truly what the roads are made of.
And correct me if I'm wrong, and you know this from hosting events and having to deliver things or go and set up or this or that. We did the very first big screen TV giveaway I think we ever did for the Super Bowl at EBN, and this might have been in '95. Okay, and it was one of those. I mean, it was this thick.
Right, weighed 800 pounds.
It took six guys to move it, and the screen was like this big. But it was,
Today you can just grab the handle at the top of the box with, barely move your arm.
Right, you can steal 4 of them on Black Friday and knock somebody over with it. But this was the very first one we ever gave away, and the guy that won it lived literally in a county we had never even heard of. It was a random drawing. Of course he did, right. And we drove down this 2-lane gravel road. Well, actually, it became a 1-lane gravel road, and I'm thinking, we're going to get murdered out here. Something's going to happen.
Scene from Deliverance.
Listening for banjos and everything.
Right.
We got there to deliver it. By the time we got, I've never been as tired as I was because it took 4 or 5 of us to get this thing down there. Just the stress of getting there. But it did show me, to kind of to your point, when they do have serious weather.
Oh, you realize why.
Water could just wash right out the road out or the bridge out or whatever. So anyway, I don't know how we ended up out on that.
Well, here, I'm going to take that one step further, though. When we went to literally pick up Fidge in, what was the town? Fayetteville, Tennessee, which is almost on the Alabama border. Literally, the breeder said when you get off what was allegedly the main highway, you enter a holler and you have no cell phone. And I actually thought, but you want to know the saddest part? The paved blacktop road in the holler back to her house is better than Interstate 75's pavement.
Right?
And that's when I said to Lori, I'm like, how the hell can they have a road? I realized not many people travel it. But I thought to myself, how can that be? And I also, where I went with this next, I thought, why don't I live here?
Right.
No cell service. Nobody would know I'm even down here. Right. This would be awesome.
They just come find you years later with a big long gray beard.
Right. Oh, yeah. We had guys who I used to work with who swore, the one guy in particular still tells me, he goes, one day I'm buying an island. Yeah. Because you can. You can literally, I don't think they're really inhabited, but you could buy an island and who knows?
Well, I already told you I'm going to build a moat around my house.
Well, I'm surprised you haven't started yet.
Yeah, well, and maybe in the spring.
Come on now, it's the season.
The thoughts. It is. You're right.
It's the festive season, right?
It is the season of getting. It is this or giving. I'm sorry. Who, Dr. Freud?
Right.
And in the spirit of the season, it's Gamble and Finn. This is our snowballs edition because I don't. Hopefully, I'll be able to get out of your driveway. I hope the boys are up there shoveling now, so that I'm able to get out and get home. But we talked about all the weather issues going on Friday. Or Sunday across the screen as we were watching football, which we'll get to in a moment.
Right.
Not such a great day for Cincinnati.
No.
But last night on The Simpsons.
Yeah, how about that? You fittingly, you've got your Skyline chili. Oh, now is that last year's version?
This is last year's awesome Christmas sweatshirt. And they were big time featured.
They were
last night on The Simpsons,
Absolutely.
Which was really cool. A lot of cool screen grabs, some great little bits and pieces about Cincinnati. If you want to watch it, I think you can go to Hulu now and maybe YouTube and check it out if you want to see the full episode. But it was called The Road to Cincinnati. I think it was about Chalmers and Skinner coming to Principal Skinner coming to Cincinnati for an education conference at the Duke Energy Center.
There you go. Wasn't about Cincinnati City Council or anything like that.
No,
they left that out of it.
They had to do these too far in advance. I think only Tamaya Denard had been arrested by the time they were finishing this episode.
No pastor in Sittenfeld to follow yet. No, but I will say, kudos to Skyline Chili because that brand, when you think about anything and everything from the Big and Rich song, just they're when you talk about, I'm trying to think of what else would be that powerful in terms of that brand recognition with Cincinnati. I'm not sure across, whenever there's NFL,
they're always showing the 4th Street down there.
Right, they are. I mean, it's.
Well, and even in the episode last night, there were some great little things like the guy gets up and he says, "It's really good to be here in Cleveland." A little nod to the old. I think
Sam Weiss.
Sam Weiss thing. Because the guy yells out and he goes, "It's Cincinnati. Just look at the skyline." And I'm like, all right. And then the girls were jumping rope at the very end, and they said, 2, 4, 6, 8 or whatever. And how many ways did Skinner try? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
So, and then they were clearly at what looked like the Ludlow skyline. The screen capture looks like it was drawn off that old school Ludlow skyline. There was a gas light and that old school sign and everything down there. I don't know. That's always pretty cool. I mean, especially when we've talked about for the things that we've been known for in the past.
Right.
So you look at you're looking at different things. Obviously the Reds. I think P&G. I think a lot of people know P&G is here.
Sure.
But as far as recognizable brands, that's what was kind of cool about being part of EBN. EBN was a big brand that was known around the country as a Cincinnati, right, when it existed, if you recall that. No, it was kind of cool to see this, and it made a great note for Cincinnati to end on at the end of Sunday, because the beginning of Sunday, Fred, not so good.
No, and I'm not going to lie, just looking at that sweat, not seeing you in it, mind you, but just the drawing is
making you hungry.
Actually hungry for a 5-way. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, it sounds damn good, doesn't it? But kudos to Skyline for recognizing and capitalizing on that. But you mentioned yesterday the Life Without Joe edition of the Bengals and the practice squad quarterback active, Brandon Allen. And, the Giants, who were down to Daniel Jones, got hurt and left the game, and he hasn't been. Although the Giants have now won 3 in a row and are still in that sad division. have a shot.
Yeah,
but
at 4-7, they're leading the division after
correct.
by
The
virtue of
division's
2
dreadful.
wins over Washington.
But I did think to myself, I thought, man, okay, that was one I don't think many people thought they had a chance to win, especially with no Burrow. But you got to wonder now. I mean, it's, Houston's playing a little bit better. That's who they end the season with. Miami's in the playoff hunt. They still have a ways to go, but Brandon Allen, I mean, you can't expect. And you got that game was hard to watch on both sides.
Right.
Giants
Yeah.
were bad too. Let's be honest. It was a bad game, and there were still they were spread out, socially distant throughout Paul Brown Stadium.
Well, we were laughing because we were watching like that's the biggest crowd they've had in 10 years. When we were looking at it all spread out. But, I mean, from the opening kickoff, maybe you're for a split second, you're like, hey, maybe they're these guys, because they kept talking about this too in the booth. These guys are playing for each other.
Right.
They're playing for each other.
Well,
They're
Chris
playing for
Spielman
each
even
other.
talked. He was the color analyst, and
Yeah.
he even talked. That would have been, if you think about it, that was Tom Brenneman's crew. Because he was normally the play-by-play guy with Chris Spielman. But Spielman talked about how he has seen Bengal teams in the past quit and how this one didn't. And if you notice, he alluded a couple times to the dissension that had been talked about in the locker room. We asked George Vogel about that.
Jesse's story.
Right. In SI.com, we asked George about that when we were in Friday for Eddie and Rocky. We're back, by the way, normal time this Thursday night, 9 to midnight on 700 WLW. But all in all, the Bengals, it's going to be – I mean, I will tell you, it's hard to watch. I don't know how endeared I'm going to be to watch any of the remaining games when there are going to be better games involving teams, at least in the hunt, for the postseason. And there, some intriguing. Your Steelers, it looks like, are going to play tomorrow against the Ravens until somebody else gets COVID and they
somebody else on the Ravens gets COVID.
Right, because
not anybody on the Steelers.
Right.
If Ben got it, they go, well, you're going to have to suck it up there, tough guy.
Correct.
And it's interesting that 2 shows in a row to be talking about looking forward to the same game.
Oh, right.
That's
no, you're
very
correct.
odd because we were supposed to be Thursday.
Right.
And we were
Oh,
laughing
that's-
about
you're right,
this. It was Sunday Night Football on Thursday. Then it was Sunday Night Football moved to Sunday day.
afternoon, right.
Then it was Sunday Night Football moved to Tuesday night.
night.
And we were talking about that Thursday. Carrie Underwood's head is going to explode. She's not going to know what to sing about.
Well, it's just they've got. I mean, if they don't play it tomorrow, they're just going to have to
Let me
remove
ask you
it.
this.
Yes.
How in the hell do they make the Broncos play with no
quarterback, literally?
And that they
I
don't
don't
say
know.
to the Ravens, you're going to play with who you got.
Probably because the Broncos are not relevant into the postseason.
And that's nonsense.
I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm saying, though, that's because that gave the Saints, let's be honest, the Saints had an easy victory, and they are still contending for the top seed in the NFC.
All right, so let me ask you this. Because you really heard a lot more talk about just COVID and everything and the different, flare-ups and whatnot. Do we get through this season? Do you think
Great
we
question.
get to the Super Bowl?
I do, because if you really think about the NFL, there really haven't been many cancels. I mean, relative to how many games are played on a week-in, week-out basis, there aren't many that have been canceled. I think college football is a little more tenuous, and I think, you heard about Ohio State, which didn't play against Illinois. And if they don't, the Big Ten has, if they don't have an average across the league of all teams having played 6 games, then you can't qualify for the college football playoff. I think that college football, is a little bit more in jeopardy. And I just think in 2020, I mean, Major League Baseball, it was what it was. What are you supposed to do? I mean, I heard Hayward of the Steelers, the defensive lineman, just say, "Look, we're ready. When they tell us to play, we'll be ready to roll." What else can you do?
Yeah, there's not a lot you can do. And I saw Tomlin's press conference actually.
I did too.
And they were asking, how do you have everybody separated so you don't have what happened to Denver happen to you? And he said, yeah, we've been smart and we've gone above and beyond what they've told us to do, and people are separated and this and that. But again, you deal with the cards that you're dealt. I just find it fascinating that the league seems to have deferred to the Ravens way more than they have to anybody else.
It's interesting on that note from Tom. I know a lot of some high schools did not have like a freshman team. And then what they've done is they've kept all of their people apart. So like the varsity guys are never with the JV, because if there's any overlap and somebody's found to have a positive test, then you've got the contact tracing, and then you could lose both. So at the high school level, where there's quarantining for 10 or 14 days, depending on who gets it and what the circumstances are, I know for a fact if 3 or 4 are out, it's what it should be in the NFL. You have an expanded practice squad at the high school level. You bring up your JV guys, you play on.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to make it through the season, that's what you have to do.
All right. So, and I guess on a final NFL note, after watching last night, is anybody going to beat the Chiefs?
Well, that's a great question.
Can that happen? Because I don't think the Steelers can beat him unless the defense really figures out a way to dial in on him. There's just so many different things he can do and places he can get the ball to. It's insane.
You mean like 359 yards passing in the first half?
First half, yeah.
I mean,
800 total between the two of them.
Crazy.
I was thrilled to see Tom Terrific over there pouting too.
Well, but you know what though? The reality of it is, everybody just jumped. And I can't remember who referenced this, but they said, in the preseason, everybody just anointed because of Brady and Gronkowski, and they did make a couple other maneuvers, did Tampa Bay, but they're not. When the lights have been on them, they've performed poorly. They got drubbed by the Saints 38-3. They were not. They made a run for that game, and Kansas City had to get a couple first downs at the end, but the Chiefs dominated that game.
Well, it was Arians, wasn't it, who said they were ready to hand us the Lombardi Trophy in August. It's like we still have to play the games.
To answer your question, Pittsburgh defensively, maybe. Beyond that, I just think Patrick Mahomes, what they've got 6 consecutive seasons, now not all with Mahomes, of 10-plus wins since Andy Reid's been there. The Chiefs are really good. Look at all, from Kelsey to Hill to now they've got Le'Veon Bell, who's just a kind of a bit role player. They're loaded with talent. They're going to be tough to beat.
Well, and I've learned something from Mahomes, that I don't get the State Farm deal by getting the same haircut. I did learn that. But the other thing that I've learned from these State Farm commercials is how I'm going to conduct my life in normal day-to-day operation. You are no longer Fred. You are now Tom from In-Game Sports.
Oh, right.
Because that's how that kid is addressed at all times. Hey, Jake from State Farm. I'm a professional football player who's been banging Danica Patrick, and for some reason you and I are hanging out. You're my insurance guy. I don't get that. I don't understand it. I don't know how many times Aaron Rodgers, who's presumably a smart person, needs to be told there is no Rodgers rate for him to believe it.
Right.
But he keeps
coming back to the same question.
He goes, hey, Jake from State Farm, thanks for getting me that Rodgers rate. There is no Rodgers rate. And the best part about that commercial, what is the thing that Jake from State Farm says at the end? What is it? Was it you want the original or you want the whatever? What does he say? You want? Oh, hell no. That was a great point I had. But he says something like, you want the original, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Right.
And they're saying this from the new Jake from State Farm, who isn't the original Jake from State Farm.
That is true.
You make of that what you will.
But I will say this. They have selected 2 good Mahomes, kind of AFC, NFC. They didn't do it that way, I'm sure, but nonetheless.
Well, there is a problem, though, in the one where they're eating the steak and he's putting the ketchup on his steak.
Right.
I don't know if I'm impossible to watch TV with because this stuff drives me nuts. In the scene where he goes, and he empties the ketchup, and he goes, did you guys want any? When they cut back to Jake from State Farm 2 looking over his shoulder, go, you want the original? He's squeezing more ketchup on his steak, and that's after he's already emptied the bottle. So it's a continuity issue. Someone should lose their job.
Okay, it's a good time to reset. This is Gamble and Finn, Larger Than Live. On this Monday, it's our what is it again?
Snowballs.
The
Snowballs edition.
And hopefully that's Snowballs outside and not inside for your viewing pleasure.
Yeah.
Here on this Monday, and hard to believe that thank God we're to December. This is it for November, and it's if there was ever a month, and I'm going to try to not be Ebenezer this year. I'm not a huge holidays fan. My wife laughs out loud. It's okay. I'm not.
But you're not looking for. I'm not a big Christmas fan because I think Christmas has been corrupted and co-opted to the point where it's not even enjoyable anymore. But this year, for some reason, like I said, more people have put up their decorations early. Yeah. I think people need this.
Well, I can tell you that a lot of the stores with Christmas lights and everything, it's already gone. They're gone. It's the same thing with people doing a lot of landscaping. Had a record year because everybody was home. Now I guess everyone's home, especially if you live in Kentucky. You can't go anywhere, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, I just think, and I think too, to your point about the holidays, is I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of funny because I do my shopping, as I've told you a number of times, everything through Amazon, which give yourself extra days this time if that's how you're doing it, having stuff delivered. And then in Milford, just the little shops in Milford. But it's kind of like Christmas for me when I order stuff for other people and then I get it from Amazon. I get to open it. And then I get to, wrap it and send it to them or give it to them. So it's kind of it's been kind of fun finding little things here and there. And I told you about the thing. I did decide to get that one item for my mom, which is
good choice.
It's going to go over like a fart in church, but if she figures out what it is. But
she won't, but your sister and brother-in-law will.
My brother-in-law said, "Oh, that's pretty funny. I think I'll get that for my mom." I'm like, you might want to think that through because there was a thematic reason that I did this for my mom.
Right, yes.
So it's a long story. It's on our podcast on WLW, and we may bring it back out at Christmas time,
Right.
And let you know what it is, the inappropriate thing that I've gotten from my mom.
I'm just hoping for cologne.
Yeah, that's right. Men's cologne.
I'm just hoping for some men's cologne.
Greatest story ever. What was that? Did you ever figure out what the brand was?
No, but you know what? In fact, now that you brought that up, I believe I still have it.
You should
so
bring
I
it.
will. I'll bring it. It'll be
fit right
that
here.
could be my show and tell next
There
week.
you go.
So we'll wait and see.
That would be great. Well, we'll get to show and tell here in
Maybe
just
I'll
a
wear you
moment.
some.
Oh, that'd be great. Why don't we do that when I do the show from my house and you do it from here?
Okay, that works.
I love it. It's a great story, and anybody that has heard that story laughs the same way I do at it because you wore it more than once. Well, tell it real quick.
I wore it for months. I mean,
months.
I probably did. Well, yeah, you got to realize.
Okay, tell the story then, because we talked about this Thursday.
So for my birthday, my lovely wife got me cologne, or so I thought it was cologne, and so was it Christmas last year? Was it that long? So since quarantining, I don't put on cologne much.
Right.
Where the hell are you going to wear it to? And I don't worry about smelling good around the house. So after wearing it a number of times, one of my sons, and I can't recall which one, said, that doesn't smell like you're wearing perfume. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm wearing perfume? Mom bought this for me for Christmas. I was wearing perfume. So what I thought was men's cologne was actually perfume that I wore proudly a number of times. Multiple. Oh, yeah, I wore it more than once. And I must admit, when I was putting it on, I was kind of going, man, it does kind of smell effeminate. I mean, this
is fruitier than Polo.
Right. I know it's not like Eternity or Polo or,
What brand was it?
I don't know. But he puts cologne on his butt.
You put cologne on your butt?
Well, you got to. Well, you think about cologne, you need it in the areas where, in theory,
How do you meet people like Fidge? Is that how, when you introduce yourself to someone, is that?
You never know when somebody's going to come a sniffing, so you have to be prepared.
Yes, I know when. Never is when. That's exactly.
So wait, hold on. So here you go. So just a little, just a little dab on the wrist, and then just a little smack on the backside.
On your wrist, you put it on your hand and then smack your ass.
Well, just on the. So think about this.
I can't think about it anymore, hardly at all. I can't.
Now work with me here.
No.
Work with me here.
No.
If you were out in public, let's say, and you were walking up a flight of stairs, and someone happened to be behind you, and you maybe inadvertently pass gas, hopefully it would lessen the blow.
Hey, Ma. I can see at the courthouse. Hey, Ma. You know what? His shit don't stink. And it smells dirty.
So there's a moral to the story. If you happen to see me at the mall going on the up escalator, you're good to be behind me. See? And tell me what you think.
I thought you were going to say, if you're going upstairs behind me, is it usually an issue, just in general, that people are like, oh, there's Gamble again. Good Lord. I go like this. And I'm done.
Well, everybody's got their different way of application. This is
There's
just a new one.
much better chance of, well, not these days, but
no, I do that too. I do that too. I just kind of end it with a little on the backside.
I could have gone the rest of my life without knowing that.
Look,
no wonder you run
here's
out
the deal.
often.
Just think about it. I'm doing this for you out there. So if you ever see me out, you'll know I'm doing it for you.
Oh, my God.
What the hell's our next subject?
Do you have any Advil?
I think we do. Yes, I think so.
I don't know. Oh, well, perfect time to go into heroes and idols. Remember last week I asked you if you had a hero and if you had an idol. Apparently Yves Saint Laurent is your hero.
You know, and I mentioned then, and this is going to sound strange, but when I said it, and I don't, because I think I would tell you one person I idolize in sports is Jay Wright, who's the basketball coach at Villanova University. They've won a couple national championships, and the reason is, in an otherwise cesspool of what college basketball, and I hate to even say this because then my bubble will probably be burst, but I'm confident. I've read his book. You know, he's just different. Guys play for Jay Wright, and it's not, unfortunately, it's not what college sports have become. I truly believe you won't find anything you won't have the FBI knocking on his coach's office door. I guess, Finn, I never really had a hero because I just kind of minded my own business and did my own thing. And I guess I always worried that, like, if you put somebody up on that pedestal, that because and I think I learned this when I became a sports writer, because people who I had idolized, who then I got a chance to meet personally, almost every one of them was a huge disappointment. Some of them were just jerks.
Well, and I would tell you, I think we tried to distinguish last week the difference between a hero, in my mind, is somebody you identify later, and an idol is someone that you identify at the moment who then could no longer be an idol based on their behavior.
I would tell you heroes for me would be military and veterans and people who, no matter what, risked their lives, many of whom lost their lives so we could enjoy the daily. I mean, to me, those are people who deserve to be heroes. And unfortunately, too often, as we've discussed, they're not. And that segues into our next one. You can catch us on the RoadShow in later December and come out and hope. That's one of the reasons why when we were asked to go to a local VFW hall, that's one of the reasons. I know you're a huge supporter. We've always tried to do that. Those, to me, are heroes. I don't see how anybody can point to politicians, and maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm too jaded on that subject matter, but
I wonder if you'll agree with these. And this was if I had to choose my hero, and I agree with you.
They are different.
About
hero
military and first responders. Anybody that, and I've always said, that is running at something everybody else is running away from is a hero, because they are doing what is ultimately selfless, an act of selflessness.
With their lives.
To that end, I didn't realize until far later, maybe earlier than most, but it was my dad. Yeah. My hero as an adopted son, my dad, because my mom and dad, but as a pair, but because adoption is a selfless,
no question,
act in and of itself, because they couldn't have kids, and obviously they wanted the best one, so they went and got him, and then they got my sister. Too.
I was going to say.
Thankfully
you have a sister.
No, but I guess my point is, I didn't realize until later of all the things that they chose to do or to give up or set aside or whatever. And then I watched his work ethic. And again, it came later. It wasn't like I didn't grow up going, gee, Dad, Dad, shucks, Dad. But it was later. And then and even more so after he's been gone, because the ability to pick up the phone and just share something with him or say, what would you do or what. Yeah. But it's funny because I've made decisions since he's been gone, and it's 7 years since he's been gone, that I think those are the things he would have done. And they turned out to be the right things. And so that's my hero, I think, if I were to pick one.
I would tell you, I know Lori with her mom. I mean, I think that and I can tell you from my parents, the one thing, I'm an only kid, and the one thing that you do notice later in life is what they did for you that they didn't have to do.
Right.
They weren't forced to do. And, they were prepared to. I was fortunate to get a college academic scholarship, but they were prepared to do, they gave up things to make sure that I would have had, the means to do that. So I do agree with that. And the things that, to make sure you have what you need, and hopefully we as parents do that same thing. Times are much different. They are. But I think that's. I would tend to agree with that.
And again, I think it's a thing you recognize later. You don't until you're in the position that they're in,
and find out how difficult it is.
Right. And then I would say, from an idol standpoint, people that I idolize, and it's kind of come and gone. It's ebbed and flowed. Sure.
A
lot of it with musicians who, like you said, same with your sports stuff. I met some people, and I'm like,
right.
I just
you wished it wasn't that way, but unfortunately, you saw the true reality of it, and.
But on the way over here last week, something popped up on the radio, and I have Sirius XM.
Can I guess? Would I be able to
You'd
guess?
Never guess.
Okay, is it bizarre, abstract? A little bit?
No, but there's a line of thinking that goes through it, and once I say it won't surprise you.
Okay.
But I listen for the comedy channels. That's really why I listen. And a guy popped up on the comedy channel that I had never heard on the comedy channel, but I thought, this guy started as a complete knucklehead goofball and turned into I came to find him to be a fantastic writer, a fantastic speaker, performer, musician, and a movie star on every level, starting with being a goofball, and that's Steve Martin. I think that guy, from a career standpoint, I looked at how he started. He still looks at life. I mean, you see the things he does with Martin Short. They still have that same twisted way of looking, almost like a Monty Python-esque American version of how to look at things. And I thought that guy's career is one that I can look at and go, you know what? There's everything about what he's done I admire. And then there was one other one, and it didn't occur to me until last week. I went down the rabbit hole on the royal family. I was watching that thing, The Crown.
The Crown, right.
And every representation of this one particular person, and I know we hate politicians, but Winston Churchill was the man. He just was. And unless somebody comes up with something that I've missed, every book I've read, every representation I've seen, the balls that guy showed in World War II to pull England out of what they pulled them out of, from Dunkirk to everything, just keeping the whole stiff upper lip thing going, was just extraordinary. And the amount of public service that guy did, truly, in what appeared to be the service of the country, I thought was pretty amazing. He and Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln to me is sort of the American Winston Churchill with regard to keeping the country together.
How about Sergeant Hank Voight?
I like Sergeant Hank Voight.
Sergeant Hank Voight.
I do.
When they were talking about bringing down that they claimed that he had been a dirty cop, right? And he discerned between being dirty and necessary. And I'll let you watch that episode, because I walked away going, yeah,
there you go.
I tend to agree with that.
All right, well, keep that in mind, kids. If you have anything you'd like to put in the comments, maybe heroes or idols, keep in mind fictional characters are also applicable.
Sure, right? We have our own little right.
I love that.
I bet
your
heroes.
idol is somebody who's not real. I wonder if he puts perfume on his ass.
Yeah, he probably does. And I did that. That's the worst part of it, was I did put perfume back there for a little bit. Sad as it may be.
He was the most popular girl at the ball. Oh, Jesus. God, I've lost my notes.
Can a man just get some cologne?
Can a man just get some cologne? All right, so, all right, and then Christmas specials was the other thing I was going to ask you, because I think the Thanksgiving, Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special got bounced to Apple TV, which infuriated everyone. Or The Great Pumpkin? Is that what it was? Oh, PBS then. Oh, that's right. Okay. Because people got all bent out of shape. It's like, and I agree, those things shouldn't have to go to Pacer.
No, I'm
those
with
are
you.
things and rites of passage.
They are.
That kids have.
Correct.
And then I saw one for, I think it might be tomorrow night or Wednesday night, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Saw that as well.
And another one where I waited all month, all year
too, right.
to see that. Frosty the Snowman, The Year Without a Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Santa Claus is coming to town. Well, no, was that one already? Has that one been on?
But the issue, see that, and I hate to, here we go, back in the day, but you know what I mean. You only got, if you think about it, back when you couldn't watch things whenever you wanted to.
Oh, yeah, appointment TV.
You had to make an appointment that Thursday night at 8 o'clock, if you wanted to see that, you had to watch it then and only then. I mean, today, that's the issue, is I wonder, do kids today at that age, I don't think there's any...
No, but I think as the parent, it's your opportunity to guide them to that and not overcoming. If I watched Rudolph 6 times a year on YouTube or Hulu or whatever, it would lose, I think, what makes it special.
But it was that one time you knew.
But do you remember, was it 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when Rudolph came under attack?
Oh, yeah.
And they wanted to take it off because of bullying.
Right, correct.
And I thought to myself, the people that sit around and wake up every day waiting to be offended by something, those people need to be the first ones on that lunar thing, or that Mars rocket, the one-way shuttle. Because honestly, if you can't understand things like that provide teaching moments, and that you don't think your kids grow up and go, I don't want to be that guy, I want to be that guy, that's on you. If that's the first place your head goes and everything is an affront to your sensibilities, maybe that's you. You know.
Well, but we've lost all those teaching moments. I mean, we really have. I mean, we continue to eliminate. You don't teach anymore. You just get rid of it. And that's not
the
teaching.
Cancel culture.
Correct. Yeah. That's where we are today, and I don't think that's going to change. I would suggest that's going to continue to get. As soon as somebody even brings up, oh, did you see that? Did you hear this? Gone.
Right. Well, and Doc even wrote an article, I think, in the last couple of days about the words that we use and the fact that instead of talking about words that bother people anymore, we just get rid of them. And now all of the free thinking and speech and everything else is just slowly but surely eroding down to next to nothing because he was talking about certain specific words and other things. And there are clearly words that offend, that come into a level of offense with him in situations versus other people and the way they're casually thrown around. But if you're not going to discuss it, you're never going to learn anything from it. And God forbid you learn anything from this, but we always kind of like to think that maybe you do.
Well, I just think that unfortunately today people are just looking for things to offend them.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, everybody is. And honestly, I would ask anybody out there, before you're offended by something, ask yourself, does it really offend you? Is it really inhibiting your life or changing your – and, I guess I just don't – if one person says something and that's the way they believe, shame on them. Yeah. If that's their misguided approach to things, they're the ones that have to live with that. It doesn't bother me.
No, exactly right. One thing in the sport, when we're talking about sports that I wanted to ask you, you don't watch the Tyson
No, but I heard it was just brutal.
Fiasco.
I heard it was an absolute
Was Roy Jones Jr. Tyson, is that who it was?
Yeah, it was Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson.
But the best part about it was Snoop Dogg's commentary, I heard. He said he looked like two drunk uncles fighting at a barbecue.
That's pretty good. But the fact, if you paid for that, you deserve to be disappointed.
Yeah.
You really do. If you paid $50 for that, all you needed to do was listen to what it was going to be to know you don't need to pay for it.
Right. And it was a split decision.
Of course,
because we discussed that Thursday.
Because there wasn't going to be a winner.
Well, of course. And that's right back to where we were.
Right. Can't win today.
There are no winners, no losers. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. So, all right. So I think that pretty much covers off on anything that we were going to hit on.
Correct.
Now, show and tell. I know it took a moment for you to get yours photographed, but you. Oh, we go. Hang on.
Yes,
for a
hang
sec.
on. We almost screwed it up.
Here we
again.
go. 3, 2. And we're back.
All right, we are back.
There was a thunderstorm upstairs while we were away.
That would be Fidge running.
Oh, what is it? Oh, holding it. Is that you holding her head
Yeah.
last night? I saw that picture posted up on some social media. She was asleep in your hand.
Yes, she basically fell asleep and I'm like, okay, this is not going to continue. I'm not going to continue to hold your. Aren't they unbelievable?
Did you take the opportunity to lightly perfume her balloon knot?
No, but she. You know what? Speaking of, I may use that perfume with her. She could use that. Now, do I need to hold this up, or do you have a photo of it? All right. So
I'd like to see it though, because I don't think I've ever seen it.
Well, this is, as you know, Seether's one of my faves.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands.
Oh,
and
wow.
They've really come, and 3 of those are signed on 3 different, because I've had 3 different.
Oh, okay.
meet
That's
and
not 3
greets.
different guys from the band signing.
No. They're all signed by the whole
that's
band,
very cool.
all of them. But the reason that I brought
guys.
this is because I think back to one of the first concerts back when we were at 96 Rock was Seether at the Madison Theater that I went to, and I'm just longing to be able to. I know you aren't, but I am. I want to go to another. Just wondering, will I ever be able to go to another concert again?
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a minute.
I know it is,
It's
and that's why
going to be a minute.
thought. So I'll just come down here and stare at my wall.
Now,
put it on.
So here's the question:
Okay.
When the magical vaccines show up, and people start going out after they've had the magical vaccines, and they start getting sick, what will they be sick with? Because it won't be that. I'll bet you. They're going to go back to getting the flu and other things and colds, and little
don't
sniffles
forget, remember
and bronchitis.
Remember Ticketmaster, you either have to have received the vaccine or have a negative test within 72 hours of the concert once they get back to it. That's what they're going to use as their – but, I mean, who's going to be – I know there is a I saw BB&T Arena, which is the arena on NKU's campus. It's a country show of some sort in May.
Yeah.
That's the only one I've seen in the early part of next year that's been announced.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, and you didn't know what my show and tell was going to be this week. But do you remember this poster? Talking about 96 Rock and shows at the Madison Theater.
I do, yeah.
And I'm assuming that we have it up on screen. This is the Church of Rock and Roll Foxy Shazam poster. And this goes back to when they came and they played a little mini set at Padrino in Milford.
Oh, that's right.
And when Eric's sons were there and we're up on stage with them in the little window there, and they had this poster up, and I asked them if they would sign it, and it was mounted or whatnot. And this is so great because they're back together.
Okay.
And they do have, and this was a poster for the show January 24th, 2012, at the Madison Theater when that record came out. So this was their homecoming show for that. Great guys, one and all. There's a couple of new guys in the band. on this kind of reformation of the band. But they had a show scheduled that sold out, I think, in April, and they moved it to, I think it's going to be the end of January now at the Madison Theater.
Really?
With Fox. No new record, I don't think, but I think there's a new song. But it was funny because, well, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. But they've moved it from April of 2020 to the end of January 2021, sold out immediately. But it was funny because I forgot I had this until Tuesday. I was walking Calvin through the neighborhood, and this guy goes jogging right by me, and I'm like, that guy looks familiar. And I turn around and go, hey, Eric. And he turns around and he goes, oh, hey, Finn. And he just kept running. It was Eric Nally. Because I forgot he lives in Milford. And so he was just running by, and later on he texted me and goes, hey, man, it's good to see you, even if just for a moment. So we're going to get together and talk a little bit.
Huh.
He might be a good house guest.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that. It'd be cool to kind of talk about, where the band came from, the different incarnations. There's a lot of guys that have been in that band over the years. And then when they decided to call it quits, that big span where they weren't together, what made them want to get back together?
Well, it'll be interesting to see in January, though. I mean, you're looking at that's less than 2 months away, essentially, to being able to have in Kentucky. The misfortune is with the Madison Theater being in Kentucky, my God, the governor will probably be at the door.
Right, he'll be taking your temp.
Right.
Well, I would tell you, it was kind of a coincidence that we were both talking about Madison Theater shows and whatnot, but it does show you that I think music continues, and I mean, I listen to music every weekend and sit outside by the fire pit or whatever. It's still the thing that's kind of getting me through.
Sure.
I don't have the fervent desire to go out to a live show that you do because of my exposure to them over the years. Just like you probably don't want to go to as many sporting events as I do.
I'm happy enough to just watch them on television.
Right.
Man.
So, and that wraps up Show and Tell, but the ultimate dude for Show and Tell is going to be our house guest, our holiday house guest, a week from this Wednesday, and that would be the one and only Santa Claus.
Yep.
He was nice enough to come a couple years ago, hang out with us on the WLW show, but he'll be on camera and with us for a very short period of time. So if you're watching, maybe you've got kids or grandkids or nieces or nephews that have a question for Santa, please send it to us, put it in the comments, or Gamble N Finn. We've got a new email address, gamble the letter N Finn Fin at gmail.com, and we will get those questions to Santa. And a week from Wednesday, as our holiday house guest, he will answer those for you, and that's somebody coming here before we go somewhere else.
That is correct. On December 28th, Monday night, will be, and that is between Christmas and New Year's, we'll be out at the Ralph Fulton VFW Post
6423.
Thank you. In Erlanger, right there on Dixie Highway. We were there for their halfway to St. Patty's Day before the UK-Tennessee football game. We were outside. This time we're going to be inside in a very big, spacious area and be hanging out before the Bills take on the Patriots. And the Bills and Stacy, her Bills doing pretty well. They beat the Chargers yesterday, so they're 8-3, sitting atop. 1-game lead over Miami in the AFC East.
Were those the guys that ran the Fumble Rooski play? Did you see that yesterday?
I did not. I watched some of the
ball
highlights
got snapped
yesterday.
and then got brought over under another guy or whatever. It's kind of a crazy little trick play. I hadn't seen that in a long time.
Well, the Bills with Josh Allen, he's doing pretty well. I mean, they're legitimate. I mean, they had a good year last year and then faded in the postseason, but they got to go. But we'll have fun out there. It's the Patriots. Everybody likes to root against New England, even though Brady isn't there, right?
It's all right. I think they're against
people just tired of
the hood.
Right? I get it. Yeah. So anyway, but we'll be there. We'll give you more details as we draw a little closer on the exact time. But we'll probably be there about an hour and a half before kickoff and doing the show out there, and it's free. They have great beer specials. Come on out and support the veterans.
Yep.
Say hello and hang out with us for a little while.
Yep, should be a lot of fun. And again, this Thursday you'll find us 9 to midnight in our customary slot with our customary friends joining us 9 to midnight on News Radio 700 WLW. Again, a week from tonight, we'll be back here at House Gamble for Larger Than Live. And then again, a week from this Wednesday, Santa Claus will be our special holiday house guest. But I think, Fred, we covered it all.
I think we did too. And we're working on hopefully more in the first quarter of 2021, speaking of 2021, with a different location for a house guest, hopefully, where you maybe can come out and join us. More details to follow.
As we find them out, you will find them out.
Correct.
But thanks for checking this out. As we always like to say, if it wasn't for you, there'd be no need for us. So we love getting out here and doing this with you on Monday nights. Appreciate you taking the time. More details on everything we've got coming up. For in the meantime, it's time to say goodbye. He's Gamble. I'm Finn, and we are out.